Hey guys, welcome to another fun and exciting Iron Mike GT7 stream. Today we're at Sardegna road track for the manufacturers, which is round 3 I believe, and this is race 1. So manufacturers, of course, I'm with Nissan. Tested 3 or 4 cars, I think there are 3, and the looks like the favoured Nissan, which is the GTR Nismo 2018 car, I think that's all it's called. That's one I was going with after all the testing. Starting from the back, 15th, good old start from the back. 25 laps, I've got heaps of time to make ground. And there's 2 tyre options, hard and medium, so again a lot of testing, and found I could do, I think it was about close to 20 laps on medium. So starting on hards, my plan was to go to lap 5 and then pit for mediums. When it came to that, I must have been close to someone and got a bit distracted and passed the pit, so I thought, oh okay, well I'm going to lap 6, 1 extra lap on hards. Pretty much like a massive undercut. So the car can be a little bit twitchy, so I decided I would go traction control 2, and then because it's race day, I decided I'd put on the good old active stability management on and counter steer on strong, just to look after the tyres. So it looks like we're getting a few victims already. Just lap 1's very chaotic. Some Kiwi guy and a Japanese guy, so 2 positions already. And at the moment I'm looking at it as, well, that's just nice. 2 positions for now, but I will be pitting a bit early, so I'm sure they'll get past me at a certain point when I'm in the pits, of course. Here's another guy. This guy, Japanese, is in a BMW and just gets a little, I wouldn't say rough, just a little bit reckless in a lap or 2. And he's ghosted there. I think he paid a penalty. So he started off rough and continues to be a little bit rough. But anyway, so 15 cars, 25 laps. There's enough fuel to get home. I think when I pitted, I put in a little dash of fuel because it was looking a little bit close, and I didn't want to have to fuel save near the end. In the middle of the pit stop, I thought, should I just, I'll manage my fuel, and then I thought, don't, just put in a little splash. So doing alright, I'm sticking on the track, keeping up with people, and this is on the hards. So probably around now I'm even thinking, so my plan is lap 5 pits, but I'll see how I go. If I'm making ground, the longer I can leave it to put on the mediums, the better. Having said that, I think some people will stay on their hards a little bit too long. Some of them in the middle of the race, or a little bit after, you know, in the middle or after the middle of the race, they're changing over to mediums. And if you were to look at your own race replay, some people finish the race on mediums and they're in still good condition, so you think we could have pitted a touch early. And just now, even this moment was sort of making me think, well, I don't want to be caught up behind people, so the idea of pitting is quite tempting. Now here's this guy in the BMW now. I don't know if he does it here. Yeah, I think it's here now. Oh, this first bit. So that was quite a fair move there. He did quite well. I was like, okay, in the middle of the race I'm thinking, okay, But that bit there, that bit of a push, wasn't happy with that. I managed to get up on the inside of him here, and then I'm drifting out a bit, and I didn't do that intentionally, but I didn't hold myself back to prevent it either, if you know what I mean. You can see my brakes are flickering down the straight, and I think what's going on there is my foot is just lightly touching the pedal, just so lightly, just enough to trigger the brake light, which in a way is not good. If I've got people up behind me and they're seeing my brake lights flickering, it's not good. Had no idea how this would pan out. I guess I was just sort of gambling on other people's tyres not performing as well as mine. Really, this is a tyre race for me, and I thought other people would be like really struggling to the point they'd need to hang on to their hards longer, and then when they go to the mediums, they'd again go back to struggling with tyre wear. So there was that, the tyre wear. I can't remember the second thing I was going to say, but I do like this track. I think in the opposite direction was maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, was my very first ever FIA race win, in a low ranked B group, but still a winner's a win when you're racing. So yeah, this track is a little bit special to me. So there are other Australians in here. Not familiar with any of them, I believe. And at the moment on the leaderboard you can't see any of them. So a few of them must be between 10th and 3rd at the moment. I was relatively happy with my performance. You know, doing practice races to look at tyre wear and fuel consumption, or just the time trial to try and get your fastest lap. Quite often I'd take a few corners a little bit too deep or hard and just sort of drift off, lose a bit of control. Or even, like I said, the custom race, trying to push the mediums to a certain length, and near the end they'd get a bit loose and I'd go off track. But in this race, I don't think I went off at all. Don't think I did. Hang around and keep watching, because it does get quite interesting. So again, sorry for repeating, I'm on hards, I'm on lap 6 now, so it was meant to be lap 5, and I just, through focusing on other cars, I missed it. Not to worry, one extra lap won't hurt. So this is my end lap now, and from what I believe, I'm the first person to pit, and it is quite early compared to other people. So in I go, which I didn't even consider pit entry lines. Was a crossing any? Would I get a 3-second penalty? Sorry, I was saying I topped up with fuel. Sorry, a mistake. I was thinking of another race. So plenty of fuel for this race. So I think I was in 12th place, yeah. And that took about 17-18 seconds there. I thought I'd come out in last place, but that Kiwi guy who's in a Ford is not having the best time. So I guess now really a bit of my concern, now that I've committed to that and I've done the pit stop, I'm thinking, well, people on mediums are, their tyres are 6 laps older, so yeah, I should be catching them. People on hards will be 6 laps older and slower, so I should be catching them. But once they start to pit for their fresh tyres, whether it's hard or medium, that's when I thought maybe I'll get in trouble, because my tyres will be quite old. So the plan is, well, the plan was to do 20 laps. It's now do 19 laps on these mediums. And I'm actually quite surprised that I'm not that far behind someone already. So me and the guy in front of me, you can see there's quite a gap between us two and the person in 12th place, let's say. So the next few laps will be a little bit quiet, and Kiwi, the guy in P15, he's quite far behind, so not sure if he's pitted or what, but he's not having a good day. So fresh mediums, and I kept the traction control 2 on, just in case I needed it, and also tyre preservation. That was really the whole point of that. But I was quite happy with this Nissan Nismo, and Nissan in general I've been quite happy with so far. I think it was very near. I'm thinking, you know, again I smiled a bit, you know, he's not blocking, he's just in the right spot. And it's just up to me to be a bit more adventurous with a different line. Finally got the job done. So that corner there was one that I'd quite often in practice go off. And now the next guy is, I think he's about 14 seconds ahead, which, you know, it doesn't seem great. But if a pit stop takes 17 seconds or 18, if that guy was to pit, I'd be passing him. So obviously I'll be watching that split time, and then I realised that not just that guy, but there's a whole cluster of cars. So potentially I could jump that whole cluster of cars there, which I'm going to guess is going to be maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 cars, or 8 cars, let's say. just start to see a bit of tyre wear on that front right hand. And again, during practice, that front right would wear a lot, so I was very mindful of all the left hand turns, like the one coming up. There were certain corners where I thought that wear is where this is occurring, so don't overdo it. Sort of nurse the car around on particular points and then push hard on others. You know, and I guess in the scheme of things, things aren't too bad at the moment. We're on lap 11. I know I did 6 laps on hard, but when I'm looking at the tyre wear of that medium, racing medium tyre, I think, oh, it's starting to wear already, but we're already on lap 11. So I kept telling myself, relax, it's okay. So just that last lap did 1:21, so I don't think I was doing that too much in practice. Minute 22s, 23s I would have been expecting. So in 12th place now, just got past the guy who was in the pits. And it's around here, lap 12. It's around here, guys. Things start to happen. People begin to pit, and I start moving up. And I think in the background, everyone in front of me who's battling for position is just slowing each other up. So P1 is pitting, but he's just so far ahead. It's stupid. I will not jump that guy. But everyone else who's 12 seconds now in front of me, over time they will begin to pit. And that was my other concern, was the guy just pulled out of the pits behind me. I thought it won't be long before he catches me. But he's about 3.9, and I just seem to be holding him off. And I think he's in a Subaru WRX, and I just don't think he looked after his tyres too well. To 10 seconds now, or just getting under 11 seconds. So I've missed something there, because now I'm in 11th. Someone else has pitted, or... And if you look at the map, the track map, I guess, top right, the cars in front of me are in a relatively tight cluster. So they're all pretty close to each other. You would imagine they'd be tripping each other up a bit. And it's just helping me catch up. And ultimately that was the plan, you know. If I pit relatively early, I can get away from people, race on my own, no interruption, and just start catching people. So here's more people pitting. So from P11, and I'd always be thinking, do I get past them or do they pull out of the pits? So there are two examples of people on hards, now they're on fresh mediums. So a new fastest lap for me, minute 21.449. And the guy behind me who pulled out of the pits, you know, the guy in the Subaru, he's now, that looks like 5.4 seconds. So I was really surprised about that. Yellow flags, what's going on? So that's Plastic Scouser, and he was, I think, over 10 seconds in front of me, so something pretty bad has happened there. I think it was there I was thinking, oh please pit, please. And he does, he pulls off. He's in the pits. It's a P8. And I'm just, maybe at this point I'm thinking, it's happening, it's happening. I'm moving up near the front. The tyres aren't looking too bad, but at the end of this lap I'll have another 10 laps to go. So kind of starting to regularly hit the minute 21s now. I think that's got to do with having a lighter fuel load. I mean, I was amazed when I look back at the middle of lap 6, the position I was in, P12 I think, and certain people who were quite well ahead of me but pitted much later. Here's another guy pitting. Or two. Yeah, they were quite far ahead of me, so between lap 6 and now, the amount that I've caught up to them and surpassed them. So I'm in P6 now. I'm just shaking my head going, this is mad. And not only that, that people are not catching up as hard as I was expecting. I mean, I'm not putting down the fastest lap times, but they're still respectable. I mean, the fastest lap is what, a minute 20.176. So I'm almost a second and a half off that. So this car does have 6 gears, but chewing up the fuel. Down the end of that straight, just keep it in 5th. And not only that, in practice I put it to 6 and it's at the bottom of its rev range. If it didn't just sit there, it'd probably slightly drop off a bit, so just keep it in 5th. So from what I understand, the guy who's in front of me has not pitted yet. I can't remember if he's on mediums or hards, but either way, I'd have to say, if he's slightly clever, that he'd be on mediums. I would not be pushing hards this far. Yeah, there he goes, into the pits. And he was on hards. Oh my god. Why? Why would you go that far on hards? So he'll now come out with 8 laps to go on mediums, and he'll probably have worn them down 1/3. So he's underused his mediums. Anyway, that's put me up to 5th place, and I just couldn't believe it. So and the gap behind me, 7.3 I think it is. That's just, it's not getting not getting smaller, it's getting bigger, which went totally against what I would expect. You know, I've pitted so early, my front right is dying. People are putting on fresh tyres, and I'm pulling away from them. And the guy in front of me, Tom, the Australian, I was trying my hardest to catch up, of course. And for a little while I thought I was doing it. And even if I felt like I couldn't catch him, I thought I'd just want to see if I can keep the pressure on. And hopefully get into his psyche and get him to make a mistake. But I guess at the end of the day, I was eyeballing that split time behind me to see whether or not people are catching up or dropping off, and it just kept sort of sitting there. You can see I've now put up the brake balance. I don't know if I've moved it now or earlier, but I did have it at, sorry, I forgot to say at the beginning, brake balance at 4 to the rear, because I knew the fronts, or the front right, would wear quite heavily. And at a certain point I thought, it's getting pretty bad, I've got to move it. And so, because the split time behind me seemed to be stable, it didn't seem to be as much of a concern as my front right hand tyre was. That's what I was watching. And it's kind of around now I thought I can afford to just back off a bit on certain corners to make sure I get this car home. And I was caught between, you know, full racing, trying to catch the guy in front, who a part of me felt like I could, but another part of me thought, which is something I've learned, you know, sort of hang on to what you got. And I guess what I'm trying to say there is, if you're going to take big risks, do it when you haven't got much to lose. So I did it at the very beginning of the race. I started from the back. I did it on lap 6, pitting early. But we're getting near the tail end of the race now, and I'm in a good position here. So I don't want to risk it too much by pushing too hard. And I'm just sort of leaving it up to the guy in front to see whether or not I can put pressure on him and just make a mistake. But have a look at that front right hand tyre. So 5 laps to go. 21, 22, 23, 24 and 25. 5 laps. And the gap behind me is now 7.2. And it's just like, so bizarre. But when I'd look at the track map, just a quick glance, I'd see there's a little cluster of cars. So it would kind of tell me that they must be possibly battling. And I think at this point I have the worst tyre wear on track at the moment. When I looked at the replay and flicked through other cars, they're either on hards or they've pitted later on mediums. So maybe others had this tyre wear before they pitted, but it's not too bad now, whereas this is pretty bad. And I'm amazed that my lap times aren't really falling away. So people behind me, 6.7, 6.8. I'm sort of hanging in there with that Tom Beast guy in front of me. I'm actually slightly catching him now. So I just leave it in 5th. See, I've got the brake balance up again. So you might be wondering, why am I putting that up? You know, my brake balance is already to the rear. I'm just making a point. I knew I'm recording this for tonight, and I'm just making a point for the video. During the race, I'm like just flicking it over to let you know this is what's on my mind, is my tyres. There's not much else I can control. I can't control this anymore. My brake balance is right to the back. I guess I can control it by, again, nursing the car around the corners. But it was 2 laps to go. My front right was my big concern now. So like even here I'm just sort of lifting a bit. And why not? I can afford to. 7.1 seconds behind me. And then I see another car and I'm like, wow, so that's 4th and 3rd in front of me. But I think it's actually a lapped car coming around, because I started to see the blue flags and I thought, well, the leader's 29 seconds in front of me, so the blue flags aren't for me. I'm sure we've all been there where blue flags come up and you don't know who it's for. Final lap. Here we go. You see the gap behind me is coming down and the gap in front of me is slowly growing. That's me nursing the tyres around these corners. Just, you know, taking it easy now. Really trying to learn a lot about absorbing. So again, yellow flags, I'm like, oh, could it be my lucky day? And then I see 15th place back marker. Yeah, I'm starting to really learn to take in as much information as I can. You know, monitoring my tyres, my fuel, position of people. I'm slowly learning to get that into my head while racing at the same time. Well, I did enjoy that race. It was an unexpected race for me. And again, it was a tyre race for me, that was. It's all about the tyres and when to pit. So, up 10 places from 15th to 5th. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button and leave a comment if you don't mind. Put your own races up. I do like to watch them, as I've always said. And see you in the next race, I guess. Bye for now.